Tusk Venture founder and CEO Bradley Tusk. He's a heavy backer in tech startups and worked for New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. 6 years at City Hall. You wear both hats. This is really important. The whole push for states who are pretty eager and anxious to start regulating AI and technology, they are not waiting around. Is that a mistake?
Well, I mean, from their perspective, I understand where they're coming from. I spent 4 years as the deputy governor of Illinois, and when you look at sort of the mess that defined Washington in general, right, Republican, Democrat, doesn't really matter, someone's got to be in charge. Washington is yet to regulate Internet 2.0, and we've seen kind of what the harms of social media can be in many ways towards teenagers and others. So I'm glad that someone's doing something. The question is, are the people doing it knowledgeable in what it is they're actually regulating, because these are really complicated issues. And so you're going to see some bills come along that make a lot of sense and will be necessary. Some bills that make no sense at all. It's going to be all over the place. I would love it if Congress could get its act together and actually come up with a thoughtful AI regulatory framework that said to states, you don't need to do it. We've got it. That would be great. That has not been the case so far. But I think that the issue actually that is going to be the most heavily debated this coming year isn't even a regulatory issue, it's a permitting issue. And the reason is that as these data centers come on board, as you guys talk about all the time, all the hyperscalers, the NVIDIAs and the OpenAIs and others spending trillions of dollars to build data centers for generative AI, the problem is to power the level of compute that they think they need requires tremendous amounts of energy consumption. Some experts say that energy consumption might actually double once all these data centers are online. And if you don't then bring in new energy supply, everyone who watches this show understands how basically supply and demand works. Right. The prices go way up. And the people who are paying those prices, the consumers, are also voters. And they're going to revolt when all of a sudden they start paying a lot more money to effectively subsidize, these giant multi-trillion-dollar companies. And so I think you're going to start seeing regulations and legislation moving in state governments all over the country that say that local governments cannot issue the necessary permitting and zoning for data centers unless they can show that the local consumers will not get hit with massive price increases. So that's going to be, to me, the really big issue at play. I know that it hasn't really been talked about a lot yet, but I think that it's clearly what's going to happen. States,
you're saying, will say we're not waiting around for the federal government, at least on the energy piece of this.
Yeah, because look, if you are, and we saw this.
The entire election in New Jersey was just
that, and then the
utility
Georgia, you had a couple of normally people who were always kind of reelected to the Public Utility Commission got thrown out of their jobs. We know that voter turnout, and I've talked about this on this show a couple times before, is typically low. If you want to make sure that people show up and vote in the next primary, next general election, in a state election or a local election, raise their energy bills by 50% and see what happens. And that's where we're going. And so I just think politicians, by the way, this is not a partisan issue in the slightest. They're just going to want to protect themselves.
You have 12 predictions.
Yes.
Let's tackle some of them. And this one jumped out to the Claman Countdown team. Last year, Illinois and Nevada banned mental health chatbots after news that some of these bots somehow were involved in suicides.
Yeah.
What is your prediction about mental health chatbots?
I think we're going to see them being banned all over the country now. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, California. You're seeing lots of different versions of these bills come up. Ban them or basically limit them to a point where they're useless. And I just think that, again, this kind of gets to the question you asked at the beginning, which is really, do the states know what they're doing, and do we want them to do this? And yes, we don't want chatbots that are encouraging people to kill themselves, but at the same time, I would argue that we're in a country where there is a mental health crisis. There aren't nearly enough people who are trained therapists to provide the services. And if we have something that is free or low cost that can help people, let's figure out how to regulate it properly so it can do so and not throw out the baby with the bathwater.
So you see value in...
I think there's some, because I think that human beings need people to talk to. And if it's not people, perhaps AI is a good option. And that doesn't mean that the AI that gets produced in version 1 is going to be perfect. So let's work on it.
You have a prediction about biometrics.
Yes.
And this is big for our investor audience.
Yeah.
Some of them are interested in investing in companies that work on biometrics. Yeah. More and more, this is starting to be advanced.
I think this is a sector that's going to grow exponentially. In fact, Roblox just voluntarily required that in order to open up their app, you have to have biometrics, because the leaders of Roblox very much want, I think, to protect the children that use the app. Both of my kids were big Roblox users when they were, the right age.
So it's this retina,
and so it's it's just keeping the wrong people off, and that could be creepy adults off of Roblox, or it could be or other sites, or it could be keeping minors off of gambling apps like FanDuel or DraftKings, where you have this huge epidemic right now of young men who shouldn't be gambling are.
Cannabis.
Yes.
The president.
He beat me to it. I wrote this, and before 2026 even hit,
that's right,
he went ahead and moved it to Schedule 3.
That's right. He moved cannabis to a much less regulated Schedule 3 drug versus Schedule 1. What does that mean for the cannabis companies that have been working and waiting so long?
It helps a lot. It's a really positive step if you are an investor in the cannabis space.
Doesn't make it federally legal.
It's not federally legal. So I think what it will mean is some of the restrictions around banking, around transportation will start to get a little bit easier. But if the cannabis industry were to just be a regular sort of industry like widgets or, whatever we would sort of the standard would be.
Why aren't these stocks doing as well since he announced that? They ran up beforehand.
I think there's probably two reasons. One is, so I have actually never invested in a cannabis startup. And the reason why is not, I have no problem with it at all. It is simply that when you look at the comps on the Canadian public markets, the private U.S. companies were just wildly overpriced. And so I think that it might be that at the end of the day, there's always excitement in early stage venture where I work. But, P still has to be greater than L, right? And, everyone can get really excited. But at some point, if the math doesn't work, the math doesn't work. And there is an appropriate value for every single company out there, but not necessarily what VCs like me say it is. And I think in cannabis, things got wildly overpriced, and we're still seeing that.
Good to have you, Bradley.
It's wonderful to be on, and look forward to coming back.
And we'll be watching your push to make voting doable on phones.
Mobilevoting.org. Please check it out.
Mobile
Just want to make voting
that
easier
could be
for
the
everyone.
next one for 2027.
That would be awesome.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Liz.